paying tribute to the Pani Submersible, a 42mm icon from the Panerai diver series. Pagani Design has 200-meter water resistance, sapphire mineral glass on top, see-through case back, a two-tone dial with skeleton hands, and an open heart further exposing the Seiko automatic NH39 movement. It's got a 120-click unidirectional ceramic bezel. What more could you want from a $60 timepiece? Well, I'll be telling you all about the Pagani PD-1736, that's the model number of this piece, today. I've seen that some reviewers have actually picked up this watch for about $70 to $80. Well, I managed to get it for just $60. Now, we'll leave a link to that listing in the description below the video, so make sure to check it out. And now, let's get into the review. Well, let's take a look at the dimensions. The case width with the crown is 47.2 millimeters. The diameter of the watch is 42 millimeters when we look at the bezel. Lug to lug is 50.5 millimeters, thickness is 13.6 millimeters. The strap width is 24 millimeters, so you do get quite a wide strap here. The weight is just under 99 grams with this nylon/genuine leather strap. If we look at the design of this watch, it's a very lean, muscular, even well sculpted watch. It's got a number of layers and we'll talk about it right now. When looking from the side of the crown, we see three distinctive layers of the watch. The bezel plastered on top, the case base is molded inversely like a basin, and the lugs creating an opposite direction effect to the underside. This will effectively hug your wrist closer. The macho-ness of this watch is striking. Even the crown, which is actually signed, has very deep and wide threading. Again, saying I'm macho and sporty. But let's keep going. In regards to the crystal sitting on top of the dial, well, you get sapphire glass. That's pretty good. The slight downside is the fact that there is no anti-reflective coating on this crystal. And yet, you do get the reflections, but I will tell you, the play of the light on this dial actually looks kind of good. And because you do get these very thick and wide hands, especially the hour and the minutes, even though you don't have any anti-reflective coating, there is no problem with seeing the watch time even in direct sunlight. So far so good, but now we get to the cased brush styling. The top of the case and sides were brushed rather coarsely. If on top the brushing looks intentional, the sides look almost unfinished. There are uneven strokes around the crown guards, on the lugs. It's not a deal breaker, yet potentially bead blasting would have looked cleaner. The case size is large, no doubt, but the 24mm lug-to-lug width does give us this very wide strap, and visually it reduces the size of the watch on your wrist. The strap is synthetic on the outer side and genuine leather on the inner side. That helps minimize the overhang and generally reduces the lug-to-lug measurement of the watch. Here's what it looks like on my 6.5-inch wrist. The classic watch type clasp is signed and brushed as well. The Panerai look aesthetics are in the DNA of this timepiece. On the case back, we have a see-through screw-down case back. The crystal here is mineral glass. Unfortunately, no sapphire crystal sandwich. The movement is unadorned by any ornaments, plain and signed with the number of jewels. As we know, we've got the self-winding SN39 Seiko's movement in here. Considering this watch is rather good looking, the dial is where this watch shines most. The actual dial is dark blue with sunburst effect, yet the blue fades into the dark and deep blue at the bottom of the dial. This is such a subtle transition that you won't even realize it occurs at first. All the indexes are applied. Double battens at the 12 o'clock, single battens at the 3, 6 and 9 o'clock positions. Everywhere else we get circles. Another cue that the watch is embracing Panerai looks are the skeleton, minute and hour hands. The chunky tips are evenly loomed across the two hands. Another callback to the Panerai Submersible is the missing minute track. That sort of explains the long tip of the minute hand reaching out to the edges of the dial. Considering the movement is hackable, the seconds hand does stop when you adjust the time. At the 9 o'clock position, we have an open heart feature, which is sitting a level below the 24-hour subdial just above it, between the 10 and 11 o'clock positions. The Pagani Design logo is applied at 3 o'clock with printed model designation just under it. The dial is well spaced out. Even though we have a few complications above the equator, there's no sense of cluttering. Personally, I would prefer to adorn the southern side of the watch, so anything below the 3 and the 9 o'clock positions, because not that it looks bland, no, but I think if we did get a date window at, say, the 6 o'clock position, that would have been a nice touch to this watch. Before discussing the bezel action as well as the movement and the strap, let me tell you about the Lume here, because I wasn't particularly impressed, but let me show you what I mean. So I've charged up the Lume with the ultraviolet light and left the watch for 15 minutes. Quite surprising that it hardly lasted 5 minutes, not even close to the 15. The Lume does not impress, especially on the indexes. On the actual hands, the Lume stayed, well, slightly longer than on the indexes, and you could potentially still make up the time. The steel bezel has a blue ceramic insert. The blue is deep, yet not dull. Bezel action is smooth, but with sufficient resistance. The bezel action is loud, but it's not tinny. The clicks are sharp and pointed. There is also minimal play at every click, and considering this is a 120 click bezel, it's actually quite good. So here we go, we can hear the clicks. Another big positive about this bezel is that it aligns really well and easily to the 12 o'clock position, because we know that there's quite a few bezels out there that just don't align. Another interesting point about the bezel here is if you look from the side, you will see the coin-like grooves and finishing of it. The thread may be fine, but that does not hinder the rotation of the bezel. Now let's touch upon the movement. So we have an NH39 Seiko's self-winding automatic movement here. It uses 24 joules and beats at a frequency of 21,600 beats per hour. So this movement here actually lacks the date and day display. Not sure if you've heard of the NH39 before. That is because the 37, 38 and 39 from Seiko are the lesser known movement. So who is this watch for? Well, the blue, the synthetic blue strap on top, the genuine leather at the bottom, so it's comfortable, it's good. The overall styling, all that blue, it does really drive you towards the coastal, towards the sea adventures. And after all, it is a diver. It's got 200-meter water resistance. I think this watch is definitely for the person who loves going outdoors. It's not a dress watch, not even close, but it is rugged and it is very utilitarian. It's a practical watch that still looks pretty good. Anyways, I did get this watch for 60 bucks, as I mentioned. Now, if you were going for the Panerai Submersible, the original, you'd be paying around $10,000. Now, I'm in no shape or form trying to compare the two watches. This is a homage, so it's paying tribute to that watch. It's not trying to be that watch. It's different in so many ways. But if you want to see how a Panerai Submersible might look on your wrist, this could be the perfect place to start. Anyways, thank you for watching this video of the Pagani Design PD-1736. If you did enjoy the review, please drop me a like. If you want to see more of the same, you know what to do. Please hit the red subscribe button below the video, and I'll see you in the next one.